Hey, so here we go. The Zac and Zoe Mysteries, The Missing Baseball. This story was written by Mike Lupica. I believe that's how you say his name. And let's see what it says on the back. Join the team, solve the case. There's nothing 8-year-old twins Zac and Zoe Walker love more than playing sports and solving mysteries. And when those two words collide, well, it doesn't get any better than that. So when the baseball signed by Zac's favorite major league player suddenly goes missing, the search is on. Luckily, amateur sleuths Zac and Zoe are on the case. Can they solve the mystery and find the ball before it's lost for good? Solve another mystery with Zac and Zoe. Oh, that one looks like it's involving basketball. All right. Okay, so amateur sleuths. Those are new words. Maybe not for you, but I'm betting for most people. So amateur means that you're not a professional. You haven't been practicing for years and you don't get paid to do it. For example, when you go out to play basketball with your friends, you and your friends are all amateurs. When you watch a basketball game on TV and it's the Rockets versus the Lakers, those are not amateurs. Those are professionals. So sleuths, that's another fancy way of talking about a detective or somebody who looks for clues. Sleuths. Kind of a funky word. It's a really old word that people don't use very often anymore. They usually just say detectives, but they're trying to build our vocabulary, so they use that word. All right. So let's get started. We know that this is a brother and sister group, and they like sports, and they like solving mysteries. Oh, look, this author, he's written other books. So if you do enjoy this one, here's some other books. Maybe during summer reading, you can look up some other books that Mike Lupica has written. All right, so the illustrator is Chris Danger, and these are Puffin Books. That's the publishing company. All right, let's see what else we have in here. This book is for the real Zac who always played big in everything. I'm wondering if the real Zac is still alive, because all those words are in past tense. Sometimes when people do a dedication in a book, they are dedicating it to somebody who was a really good friend or a family member that's not alive anymore. Okay, so they're not telling us how many chapters there are or how big the chapters are, so we're going to stop with one chapter for each time we read. So this is chapter 1. It's just a baseball, Zoe Walker said to her brother Zac. You have lots of signed baseballs? Zac and Zoe Walker were 8, and they were twins. They didn't look exactly alike, but they did think a lot alike. They just didn't always think exactly alike. Like right now, for instance. They were eating breakfast at the kitchen table before school. Zac knew his sister was both right and wrong. He did have a lot of signed baseballs. That much was true. Some were gifts from his parents. Some he had gotten signed by professional baseball players. Zac and Zoe's father, Danny, worked as a sports reporter on TV. Often he would take Zac and Zoe to special events where they got to meet the players face to face. But the ball they were talking about now was different from the others. Zac loved that ball more than the rest, and he was sure Zoe knew it. The twins loved competing against each other. in almost everything. In fact, Zoe even made talking a competition. She seemed to be doing it now. "It's not like another ball," Zac said. "You know it's the ball Will Hanley hit for a home run. The ball I caught." It happened a couple of weeks before. Their parents took Zac and Zoe to a game at Fenway Park. Zac's favorite player, Will Hanley, was playing. His team only visited Boston once each season. The family all sat in the monster seats at Fenway. The monster seats are on top of the famous wall in the left field called the Green Monster. Looking down at the field from their seats, Zac couldn't believe how small everything looked. It was almost as if they were watching the game in their backyard. "I know Will Hanley is your favorite baseball player," Zoe said, "and I know why. He's smaller than just about everybody in Major League Baseball. But he plays big, same as you. And he's the second baseman, same as me," Zac added, as he spooned his cereal into his mouth. "But even though he's your favorite player, and even though you caught that home run ball," Zoe said, "it's still just a ball." She smiled to herself, like she'd just won the argument. Zac glanced over at their mom, who was grinning from across the table. What do you think? Is Mom going with Zac, or is Mom going with Zoe? Or is Mom just enjoying the kids fighting? Wait, Moms never enjoy kids fighting. Oh, who knows? She pointed to her watch, which meant it was almost time to walk to the corner to catch their school bus. "You know what I always tell you," their mother said. It's not the souvenirs that matter. It's the memories that go with them." "But that's the thing," Zac said. "This ball is part of my memory." The twins' dad, Danny Walker, had been a star basketball player. He started playing when he was Zac and Zoe's age. Then he went on to play in high school and college. He even played a few years in the NBA, but he hurt his knee and had to retire early. He was the smallest player in every game he ever played in his life. Zac and Zoe were also small for their age, and Danny always made sure to tell them size is important, just not in the way you thought. It's how big you play that really matters. Now he worked as a sports reporter on TV. Their mom said he was just as good at doing that as he had been at everything else in his life. When he bought the family tickets in the monster seats, he had no idea it would turn into a monster day for Zac. In the first inning, Will Hanley hit the ball so far and so high it cleared the top of the wall and ended up in Zac's glove. Everyone in their section cheered. After the game, Zac and his dad waited in the parking lot with a crowd of other fans. That's where Will Hanley and the players on the visiting team would board their bus. Zac knew his dad had special connections as a TV reporter. He could get them into the clubhouse if he wanted. But Zac also knew his dad didn't think it was right for reporters to ask for autographs, even if the autograph was one for their kids. "If you want Will Hanley's autograph, you'll have to wait like everyone else," Danny said to Zac after the game. For as long as Zac and Zoe could remember, their dad had taught them to always do the right thing, whether it was to do it with sports or anything else in their lives. Even if all they wanted was to get a baseball signed by their favorite player, they had to do it the fair way. So Zac waited with the other kids on the street that ran along the first base side of the Fenway Park. Slowly, he and his dad worked their way to the front of the crowd. Happy, the much bigger crowd was waiting up the block where the Red Sox players parked their cars. Finally, Will Hanley walked out of the park wearing his normal clothes. Somehow, he looked even smaller than he did in his baseball uniform. "Mr. Hanley," Zac shouted, "over here, please." His mom would say later that everything worked out because Zac had been nice. She always said you could never go wrong being nice. Will Hanley stopped to see where the voice had come from. When he looked over, he saw Zac holding out his home run ball. "Mr. Hanley," Zac said, "this is the ball you hit over the green monster in the first inning." Will smiled at him. "If I asked for it back, would you give it to me?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Zac said without hesitation. "Well, how about I sign it for you?" he said. "I never hit a ball over that old green wall before, so I already know I'll never forget today. Now, neither of us will." Okay, so who's this? Yep, that's Zac. And who's this? He's signing the ball, so that must be Will. Zac handed him the ball and the Sharpie his dad had given him. Will Hanley signed the ball and handed it back, shook Zac's hand, and then walked up the steps onto the bus. That ball now sat in Zac's backpack. He was bringing it to their third-grade classroom for a very special show and tell. Half the kids in the classroom would be presenting today, and the other half on Thursday. All the kids in the class had been asked to bring something important to them. They were even encouraged to wear a t-shirt of their favorite player or team if they had one. This was just one part of the school's annual Spirit Week. If you weren't sports fans, you could wear a t-shirt of your favorite TV show or book, band, or movie. Zac wore his number 19 Hanley shirt. Zoe, who loved books as much as she did sports, maybe even more, wore the Harry Potter t-shirt their parents bought her when they were visiting the wizarding world of Harry Potter in Florida over spring break. Zoe had already finished the first 3 Harry Potter books and was on to the 4th, even though she was only 8. She was even bringing her favorite Harry Potter book, the first one, with her to school today. "That's your thing of value," Zac said to her as they grabbed their backpacks. "Seriously?" Zoe smiled. "A really good story is valuable as anything. Right, Mom?" 100%, Tess Walker said. "Now, both of you get going, or the story this morning will be that you missed the bus." None of them knew at the time that the biggest story of Spirit Week was just beginning for Zac and Zoe, and that it was going to be the best kind. A mystery. About an autographed baseball that turned out to be anything but just another baseball. Chapter 2. Gotta stop. All right. So I'll read the next chapter and you can listen to it on another day. Bye.